Hi everybody, my name is Jennifer and this is Jennifer's Garden. I just wanted to start with a little overview of what my garden is and what I'm doing here. I really just kind of wanted to give everybody a chance to kind of just see something nice, and I like plants, so I wanted to share my plants with you. So this is my garden. I live in way upstate New York. I live about an hour north of Albany. So in the zone world, I technically am in zone 5, but the way that the zones go, it kind of peaks up in our area. So I'm in zone 5, but I really just go along with zone 4 because I think every place else, how far north I am, everybody else along where I am is in and about zone 4. So I try to just plant things that are in zone 4 versus zone 5. So I follow a guy on YouTube. His YouTube channel is Joe and Zach Survival. So he gave me a lot of ideas a couple years ago because I did a lot of gardening stuff and kind of failed, but I guess that's what trial and error is for. So he does a lot of straight rows and likes to keep things in line, and he taught me how to use this hula hoe, which I never even knew what that was, to keep things weeded. So I'll just go over what I have in here now. So my first 2 rows are potatoes. I've been doing potatoes for a couple years. I'll go over that in a little bit more detail. I tried an experiment this year. I used the potatoes that I had from last year that kind of sprouted in my basement, and I wanted to see if they would grow again this year. So this first row is kind of shady right now. It's almost 6 o'clock at night. But the first row are reds, and I only ended up with about 8 plants, so my seed potatoes didn't really work out very well from them. And the next row is white potatoes. They've been doing very well. I like how they're quite bushy, and I will again go into a little bit more detail about how easy they are to grow. My next row is lettuce. I have romaine. And then I bought some Buttercrisp. I kind of accidentally overbought on the lettuce because I really don't eat as much as lettuce as I planted, but that's okay. I figured at least it's giving off oxygen, so that's always a good thing. And then I ended up with broccoli, and I put the rest of the broccoli on there. I have a whole bunch of Brussels sprouts. These little guys, they're doing really well. I have red cabbage. I planted a few flowers just because I had a space for it, so I wanted to plant some flowers, and I have some regular cabbage. And with everything with COVID going on, I decided to plant a lot of stuff from seed, which I don't normally do unless they're the squashy type stuff. So I did a lot of cabbage from seed, a lot of cauliflower from seed this year. And these are my seed plants. I really didn't think they turned out too awful bad. These are the cauliflower. And my tomatoes. I ran out of tomato cages, so I just staked them up, and we'll see what happens. Then I have some dill. Put some dill in here. They're doing very well. And then I had 1 okra. I planted some seed, and I just was trying to figure out what I could grow. With everything with COVID, I kind of just grabbed whatever seeds I could from wherever I could, and I ended up with 1 okra plant, which was fine. I've never eaten okra before, so my friend Kathy, she said, grow some okra, it's really good. Okay. And I ended up with an extra row, so I had leftover green bean seeds, so I just planted those the other day. So these are my sugar snap peas. We've ended up with a lot of peas so far. It's June 19th. I plant these early because they're cold crop plants, so planted them really early. And I mean, I'm barely 5 foot tall, and they're just about as tall as I am. And then all my tomatoes. Again, I was so nervous about this whole COVID stuff, so I grabbed a bunch of seeds. I really planted all these tomatoes from seeds, and these are delicious. And usually I don't plant those, but I just had grabbed them, like I said, and I'll just see what they do. I do have a lot of Romas in here. I like Romas because I do a lot of salsa, so I will probably talk in a lot of videos about how I make my salsa. Did some herbs. I have some oregano and cilantro and parsley, basil. What else do I have? Sage. This was my herb row. And it's funny, my son's helping me with my YouTube channel, and he never knew what sage was, and so of course a lot of this stuff you can just rub and smell on your hands, and you kind of know what the smell is. And my basil plants are still pretty small. I have a little tiny rosemary. I have no idea what it's going to do, but we'll see. We'll keep going with it and we'll follow it. I have all my viney stuff. The guy that I follow on YouTube, he likes to separate his viney stuff with a fence. So I have my sugar snap peas as kind of like my fence. So I have zucchini over here because we just grow and we just eat it, and then when we're sick of it, we just kind of let the plant grow and die and do what it needs to do. We have a lot of acorn squash because I got last year about 1 acorn squash per plant that was decent size to keep in store. So I figured, why not just grow a whole bunch of it? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 acorn squash plants on this side. I put the cucumbers in the middle. We eat a lot of cucumbers because I'm a pickling queen. I'll also do a video on my pickles. I pickle a lot, and I use a lot of my homegrown dill for my pickles, and they are absolutely delicious. I like the dillier the better, I guess I should say. I have spaghetti squash here, and then I put in a couple other acorn squash. So I wanted to try sweet potatoes. I've never tried sweet potatoes before. So I live so far north, and we have such a short growing season. It is really hard to grow sweet potatoes because they have such a long growing season. But a friend of mine, his mom, ended up just growing some sweet potato slips because they're a lot different than regular potatoes. So these are my sweet potato plants. So I got the sweet potato slips from him and just kept them under my grow lights for a while until I got big enough roots, and they're actually doing really well as far as I understand. So we'll see if we end up with a lot of sweet potatoes. And pumpkins, I just have never had good luck with pumpkins. I don't understand why. They're pumpkins, for crying out loud. So I have 4 pumpkin plants, and we will see if I end up with pumpkins this year. I actually might try to pollinate the flowers myself next week to see if I can start a pumpkin now and see if I get pumpkins. So we'll come from the other direction here. I grow a lot of onions. I really like my homegrown onions. They taste so good. They're so flavorful, and they're not really that hard once you keep up on them. I have a lot of carrots. I have 2 1/4 rows of carrots. These 2 rows are carrots. They're really hard to weed in between, but they're worth it. They're very good. And then I ended up putting peppers in this row. I have jalapenos and bell peppers and a couple of hot peppers. A friend of mine, Megan, she gave me some of her that are they're not hot, but so I think they're a cross between a banana pepper and a hot pepper. So like they have a heat up front, but then they're not like burn your mouth kind of heat. So that's good. I don't think I'd mind those. I don't like a lot of hot peppers. I also wanted to try an experiment here. So I have a section here that my husband tills my garden for me, thankfully, because I can't, nor do I really want to do it. So I really wanted to end up with seeds from the carrots and the cabbage. And since carrots and cabbage are biannual flowers, I guess, cedars, I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. So they give off seeds every other year. So this section I'm going to leave here for over the winter. So I'll mulch them up really well and then leave them, and hopefully I'll get seeds next summer. And here's my asparagus, which needs to be weeded, which that's my plan since I'm on vacation now, finally. And then I have my 2 rows of green beans right here in the middle. So I have Bush Blue Lake 274s on the left and Tender Green on the right. So they're about 33 feet. My whole garden is 45 by 35, so I've been trying to keep the rows nice and straight, keep everything weeded, keep everything watered, and hopefully we have great success. So I will go over each and every plant and kind of how I learn how to do things, and so I hope you like following my videos and following my channel. Thank you.